Hello, Saints. Good morning, depending where you are, what time you're going to see this. Good evening, good afternoon. Today, I'm going to use the word stronghold and strongman a lot of times because Jesus said that he came so that we could have life in abundance. Life to the full and in abundance. So why are we not having that? You see, a lot of Christians are struggling. They're moving from one problem to another problem. They're continuously sick. Could it be that you have a strong man in your life? Today we're going to look at what exactly a strong man is and what exactly a stronghold is and how to get out, or rather how to get the strong man out of your life so that you can have life to the full and in abundance the way Jesus had in store for you. That's the reason that Jesus died on the cross for you, so that you could have life in abundance. You will know that you have a stronghold in your life because there's certain spirits that manifest in your life. There's the spirit of jealousy, the spirit of lying, the spirit of occult, witchcraft, idolatry, that's love of money, love of self, fornication or prostitution, spirit of infirmity. The spirit of infirmity, that is when you keep going to the doctor. You're always ill, and every disease that is known to man has a spirit behind it. That's why a lot of times you will go to the doctor and the doctor's got no clue what you're on. But they're going to give you medicine anyway, and they send you to another doctor and another doctor, and they keep you in a vicious circle because you have the spirit of infirmity, and you have to deal with that in the spirit. So we're going to look today at the stronghold. What is a stronghold? Because that's how the strong man came in to your life, because you have left a stronghold somewhere. A stronghold is a point of entry for Satan in your life. You have given him legal rights to be in your life. You have left a certain entrance point in your life, and we want to deal with that today, yeah? So that you know next time you're in a certain situation, a certain place with certain people, you know this is going to open a stronghold in my life. I better get out of here. So a stronghold basically is faulty thinking. Strongholds are built on deception. That is Satan's main weapon, deception. There are two main ways he deceives us. If he can get you to think wrongly about God, who God is, he's got you. If he can get you to think wrongly about who you are, he's got you. These are the two main deceptions he uses. God is not good. God is not interested in you. God is far off and aloof. He doesn't even listen to what you're saying. That is a lie. He also will tell you that you're not worthy of much. God doesn't love you. If you can get your head around God and how loving he is and just how much he adores you, and that you are the apple of his eye, and he just is loving on you, you will be on the right path. If you can just get your head around the fact that you are a princess, a prince from the highest royal family, and that your brother Jesus Christ is sitting at the right hand side of the Father as a high priest interceding daily for you, there is no strong man that can thrive in your life. I'm speaking from experience. Sometimes we don't even have a clue that we have a strong man in our lives, because strong man is not always very clear. Sometimes they can be subtle. I haven't made a video on YouTube for almost a year because I was in lukewarm mode, and that in itself is in the spirit. You're in a spirit of apathy. When you're in a spirit of apathy, you're not going anywhere. Now let's look at how we can tear down the strongholds and how they come into our lives. A stronghold, we have to tear down the strongholds in our lives. But how do they come into our lives, Because we have basically three enemies, yeah? That is the world, The world is a tough enemy. It's everywhere. We have the devil. He's tough, but not as tough as he seems. He was defeated 2,000 years ago. And we have the flesh. From all these three, I'm telling you that the most difficult to subdue is the flesh. We're going to look at Mark 3:27. What does Jesus say about the strong man? In 3:27, Jesus says, Mark 3:27, no one can enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods unless he first binds the strong man, and then he will plunder his house. The strong man Jesus is talking about here is Satan. You cannot defeat Satan until all the strongholds in your life are torn down. You have to tear down all these strongholds in your life. How do they come in your life, these strongholds? How did they enter your life? We can all say it's the devil. Yes, the devil is in now, but how did the devil come in? It's the flesh. Because sometimes we say, God tempted me and the devil did this to me. You know, the book of James 1:13-14 says, when tempted, no one should say God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then after desire is conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. So, the flesh opened the stronghold for the strong man in your life. And until you deal with the strong man, nothing is going to change in your life. That's why you keep taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps backwards. You're trying so hard to grow, but you have this sin, and it's the same recurring sin. You look at your other friend, she lies all the time. You don't understand why she lies. You know, she was talking about 5 bananas, but she said 6 bananas. You know, the other person there is so materialistic. You've got materialism covered, but you also have your own sin. It could be you can't just get a hold of the lust of the flesh. You keep going back to the same man. You keep texting men and women when you're not supposed to. You know, you're a married person. You keep watching things on the internet that you know you're not supposed to, and you pray and you fast and you do this, but you did not bind the strong man. That is why you see so many Christians, they continuously rebuke the devil, and the devil is lying, because you first have to bind him. You are not stronger than the devil. You yourself cannot bind the devil. So how can you bind the devil? The book of James again says you first have to submit to God, and then he will flee. If you submit to God, the devil will flee. Only Jesus has the power to bind the strong man in your life. You don't have the power to bind the strong man. Okay? So, we're going to look at how in the world you're going to know the strongholds in your life and how to deal with it. Because a lot of people are going about it the wrong way. We look at Luke 13:6-9. It's the parable of the barren fig tree. Yeah? The barren fig tree. Jesus talks about a man who owns, it's a parable, who owns a vineyard. And the owner of that vineyard comes back 3 years later in Luke 13:6-9. It's the parable of the barren fig tree. The fig tree was fruitless. It was not bearing any fruit. After 3 years, the owner of the vineyard comes to visit, and the man managing the estate says, Give me 1 more year. Because the owner of the vineyard sees that this tree is useless. It's just taking up space. He wants to throw it away. He wants to kill it. He wants to burn it. The man who was taking care of the tree says, give me 1 more year. I will dig around it. And then we will see. I will give it 1 more year. And if it's still not bearing fruit, then we can throw it away. Why does he want to dig around it? He wants to dig around it because he knows that the problem is in the roots. You've got to get the root to the root of your problem. You have to get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is not in the leaves. The man knows that the root of the problem is not in the stem of the tree. It's not in the bark of the tree. It's in the roots. And until you deal with the roots of your problem, you leave strongholds. And there are many ways that the stronghold comes in your life. Maybe it's the alcohol in your life. You know that when you drink alcohol, you're not the same person. Maybe it's those movies you're watching. Maybe it's that music you listen to. Maybe it's those friends you're hanging out to, until you get to the roots. That tree is going to be fruitless. Your life is going to be fruitless. And the parable of the fig tree says the master came to the vineyard and he says, this tree, it's not bearing fruit. Let's throw it away. You've become useless to the body of Christ because you were saved to bear fruit, to bear much fruit. Yeah? And you were saved to help other people to come to Christ so that they can bear fruit too and help other people to come to Christ. So, what I'm trying to say is here, if there is sin in your life, get rid of it. The first place to start is to expose that sin. How do you expose that sin? Tell somebody about that sin in your life. Yeah? Because sin thrives in the darkness. As soon as it's exposed to the light, it has no power. And the light is Christ. You have Christ in you. The strong man has to flee. And keep Christ in you, because the strong man will return. He will return to see if your place is full of the Spirit of the Lord. And if it's not, he's going to go and get 7 more wicked ones than him. And they will come and dwell in your place. Stay strong. Bind the strong man. And you will be free. Because Jesus set you free. And who is free, who the Son sets free, is free indeed. You're supposed to live with joy and peace every day. When you have a strong man in your life, you lose your joy, you lose your peace. And I'm not talking about happiness. You can have a strong man in your life and still be happy, because happiness is about happenings, things that are happening in your life. But the joy and the peace that comes from the Lord has nothing to do with circumstances. It's a gift from him, and you don't want to lose that, because it's more precious than gold. I pray that this weekend will be the weekend that you are going to bind the strong man. I pray that this weekend is the weekend that you are going to face head on those strongholds in your life. Dig out the roots and say, no more. I am free in Jesus Christ's name. Stay blessed, saints. I love you, and you're going to be hearing much more of me.